New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along with
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
I can't hear you, Robyn.
Who muted me? Oh my God, the universe is telling me to reel it in. Hello. Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically, where we listen to the still small voice within and speak it loud and clear when we can. So that's what we're here to do. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted.
I'm Dr. Natashe Wilson. And like Robyn said, we are Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Where are you today, Robyn?
I'm in New Mexico. I'm in
Okay.
Albuquerque. So, and you are in?
I'm in Brisbane, Australia, on the other side of the world where it is early morning.
Where it is late afternoon and here in New Mexico, and the last night of my 8-week mysticism class. So I'm very excited about that.
Are you feeling more mystical?
Oh, I am feeling one with the one, yes. And speaking of the one, we have the one here, the one and only Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, who is an amazing mystic himself, as well as a teacher and an activist and an artist and all of those things. Oh, look, there he is now, looking.
What's up? How's it going?
I'm so excited to have you here. We've been threatening for so long.
It's great to be with both of you. Finally, it only took us 13 years, 4 months, and 8 days.
But who's counting?
But yeah, who's keeping count?
Right.
What's up?
So today, just for our listeners, is a continuation of last week. You didn't miss anything if you weren't here, but I'm just letting you know that we are talking about what's going on. What's going on? Sparked by
What's going on?
amazing Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
We're just asking the question, what's going on? What's going on in the world, and what does it all mean? And, you know, our version of the question is really, we're just asking the world to wake up, you know, and to see what's going on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, well, we generally talk about our week, but we don't have to, because I'd rather get to talking with Raymont. So let's do a card pull. Is that okay with you, Natasha?
I'm ready.
All right.
You're doing the cards today?
I'm doing cards. I'm shuffling them.
Nice.
And I'm pulling from the Sacred Traveler Oracle cards.
Okay.
So, Raymond, if you want to just say when to stop, I will stop.
And now.
Okay. And I'm not sure where to pull from. I'm going to pull this one. All right. It says, discovering truth. Of course, as we talk about what's going on in the world. Discovering truth. And it says, you stand in the light of truth. And here's the card. And I will look it up. Discovering truth. Any initial thoughts about what that means?
I just think it's right on theme for the topic today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says, discovering truth. You stand in the light of truth. Listen to the wisdom that rises from your soul, even if those around you don't agree. Trust your instincts, be yourself, whatever the situation, and respond from the authentic place inside. Be starkly honest with yourself, speak your truth, live your truth, walk your truth, walk your talk. Listen to your inner guidance and follow it. You radiate the energy of truth to others so that they can find their truth. What the card wants you to know is that if you are facing a decision and your mind says one thing and your heart says another, follow the dictates of the heart and you'll be on the right path. It says more, but I think that's right.
Yes. So honestly, that card, I don't know about for the two of you, but what's going on? What's going on is we're discovering a lot of truth that we can no longer deny on so many levels. So, like literally, the card answered the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you two?
Well, I think, yeah, I totally agree. And I think the only thing that I would really add to it is that the call is really to be listening to your inner guidance and to what's going on. You know, because I know a lot of people, including myself at times, find themselves going, yeah, but what can I do?
Yeah.
And there's an answer besides just waiting for somebody else to do it, or as John Mayer said, waiting on the world to change.
Yeah, no, we're the world. We're the world. Yeah.
Well, we could just talk in song all day, couldn't we?
Girls just
Probably could. I mean, isn't that a part of like black culture? Like we do that anyways.
It's kind of true. So anyway, if you're out there listening, just let us know what's going on for you, what that card brought up, and where you're joining us from, and all that good stuff. And Dr. Raymont, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so a couple of things came up for me. One, as Dr. Natashe said, this idea of what it brings to my mind is this idea of we do not wait for the arc of the moral universe to show us justice. We bend the arc. We are the ones who have to stand up, speak up, etc. And it's recognizing this idea of there's capital T truth, that I don't care who you are, 2 + 2 is always going to be 4, just because you added it and you got what? 4,000. Yeah, that's no.
Take that up with your teacher, Harrison.
Right? But then there's relative truth of, well, no, this is how it is for me, you know, whatever it is. So when I went through divorce versus when you went through divorce, when I grieve versus when you grieve. So it's going to be variations. And in there, it's recognizing, so what kind of truth am I being asked to, being invited to step into and embody? And it reminded me, I had a conversation with Reverend Temple Hayes the other day, and she shared this statement with me that sometimes I think we engage the enemy. And she said, I will not defend, justify, nor explain myself. And I think because so many of us, especially in the New Thought movement, we are, you know, we tend to be codependent and people pleasers and all this other stuff, that we tend far too often to try to validate ourselves and get others to validate us. And for me, the card is no. Listen, you are that which is the absolute truth, expressing itself as you. Live it. Stop playing small. Like Rumi said, why are you insistent on crawling when you have wings to fly?
Amen.
It's time to fly.
Time to fly. I love it. I love it. And that is so, like, again, for some reason, maybe it's just because like the three of us, right, are all have this beautiful African-American heritage. And I just feel like it is so embedded, like spiritually and practically and politically in our culture to not wait, right?
Really?
Like we pull on that arc, right? Because we insist that not only are we fully human, we are a location of the divine, right? Yeah, and we're not waiting for you to validate that. And I also think sometimes there's a gendered component to that, right? Because as women and girls in particular, we are socialized to seek validation outside of ourselves. That's where we get our worth. Oh, I'm you're but no. The moment we start standing in the capital T truth, that is when we fly as opposed to crawl.
Amen. And that's exactly why, and I'm not even going to say the man's name, but that's exactly why a certain person insulted the former first lady the other day.
That's right.
That's exactly why, because the power of the female consciousness, the female body, the female being is a direct threat to that nonsense. All that represents pseudo truth, pseudo Christianity, white nationalism, all that stuff. The female energy is a threat to it. And the female energy of color is even more so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not to mention that very same trope that person tried to throw out, we know historically was a trope that was used not only to dehumanize people that look like me, but to justify really, really atrocious, tragic behavior towards us. And now, like Malcolm said, the chickens are really coming home to roost, because the fact is, everybody is having to now face the capital T with the truth, the capital T, and look at what is happening because of the choices, the unwillingness to look racism head on, to address it head on, to look at sexism head on, to look at homophobia and transphobia head on, right? Like now, we are now all needing to grab that arc and bend it, and we can. And so one of the things, I'll say this, and then I'll sort of, because I have a tendency to talk too much. I can't help it. Anyways, one of the things that I've been working with a lot of my clients that are still in the US, what I've been working with them on is turning wellness into a form of political, I don't like political resistance, but I like political activism. Yeah. Because when we are not well emotionally and psychologically, we cannot create a world that works for everyone. What we end up doing is recreating the world that gave us what we see and has been the White House. That's a picture of unwellness, right? And we have to be well, because not only are we going to be called on to rebuild, right, when that shit is over, when that lesson is learned, being well is now a spiritual and political mandate.
Right? Like, it makes me think, how healthy, how well did Harriet Tubman have to be to do what she did? Like, she had to be mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, I'm good because I know what is mine to do.
That's right.
And like you said, like, it's time for us to embody that and get active.
Well, which takes a level of commitment, and not wavering on that. And yes, I totally agree. And I don't know, maybe Harriet Tubman, clearly the outpicturing what we saw looked like one thing, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was just committed, beyond the beyond, to do it, to get it done, and I don't know, I'll speak for myself. I don't know that I have that kind of commitment anymore. I know I did. I know I used to, I know when I was little, I was out at marching and doing things with my mom and sitting at sit-ins and, all kinds of things. And, all the way through high school and things like that, protesting against this, that, and the other thing, and like I get here now and I go, I'm a little tired. Is there somebody else out there that can, change this?
Well,
all right.
No, I think that's the question, especially regarding the truth, is if we're committed to the truth, especially as it shows up as us, then this is what I am being, then the doing happens automatically as a default setting, which means I don't have to be committed to the marches if that's not mine to do. I don't have to be committed to, doing surgery if that's not mine to do. It's like the phrase, rest is resistance. If I'm embodying the truth, then me going to the supermarket as that and having conversations about where are the frosted flakes or whatever from that space sends that energy.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, that person may say something which now it's not about cereal anymore. Now it's about maybe what the person, Greg Gardner, said, how is our truth different than the arrogant claims of the mainstream religions? Well, maybe that conversation in the supermarket is that. And in that is my opportunity to be active because I don't shy away from the conversation. Yeah. So maybe the conviction or the commitment is to us as the divine expression and how we live that first and foremost.
And absolutely. And I just want to say, I just had a similar conversation with the amazing Greg Gardner, telling him that he was saying how he hadn't been in my class as much as he wanted to be. And I said, but you were there the perfect amount of times. And when you were, the resonance you held, and when you weren't, the place you held the class. And, it made a tremendous difference. That presence and that intention made all the difference. I'm convinced. It didn't matter if he was in the room or not, although I always prefer him in the room.
There's something that you were saying, Dr. Ray, that what both of you were saying, like that I really feel like I want to add to the conversation about this. And that is what political showing up and spiritual showing up looks like, as long as we're standing and living in that capital T. That's going to evolve over time. Because what it looked like when I was 20 is very different from what it looks like now that I'm 50. It's very different, right? I'm more in the community. I'm moving into the community of elders. When, like here in Australia, when I think about Indigenous people here, I'm stepping into elderhood. And so what that looks like for me, no, I'm not marching in the street, right? The other thing is, and I hear Maya Angelou's voice so loud and clear when she says, look, our ancestors did the work. Our work now is to wear the crown. So wearing the crown, when I hear that, means living in that capital T, right? So that capital T, for some people, might be out in the streets protesting. The capital T for me looks different now. It means working with people, working with young people, reminding them that wellness is a form of political activism at this time. And yes, Harriet Tubman had to be well to follow the capital T that was sitting at the center of her soul. Because at least psychologically and emotionally and spiritually, she knew with a capital T that a system of enslavement that would disinherit the very people who built what we now call the United States, those very people would be disinherited from that promise. That had to be alive in her. So wellness was absolutely on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be. No way. I know for me, I'm pretty well, but Lord, I can't. I don't even camp. You know, so like, let alone camp, have organize other people, carry guns, like
running from dogs in the swamp.
You know what I mean? That's not mine to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing what's mine to do, based on the calling that's at the center of my soul with a capital T.
So, and I just, before we go to a break, I just want to go back to Greg, who says, I'm just not comfortable claiming the truth, capital T. And what makes my truth better than their truth?
That's the relative piece.
But I want to flip something, if I may.
Yep, absolutely.
I want to start with his last question. What makes my truth better than their truth? And I would piggyback off of what Dr. Natashe said and ask the question of, if my truth is liberation and their truth is enslavement, what makes it better or different, Greg? If that's what we're talking about, liberation, emancipation, freedom, oppression, enslavement, disenfranchisement, lynchings, etc., what makes my truth or this truth better than this truth? And that's your answer then.
Oh, well, you know, and I think it's important to hear how people respond to a question like that. Because I know where I stand. I even though I rarely deal in moral absolutism, I do deal. What's the word? Oh Lord. Okay, there's the menopause. I forgot the phrase. I forgot the phrase. Like, I don't have moral ambiguity, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I can hold the nuance of what that means. To not be in moral absolutism, where a lot of people retreat to for safety, but also as a driver. People don't know this, but moral absolutism is a driver of all kinds of addictions, right? That and malignant perfectionism. Nobody wants to study that, but maybe I will one day. Anyways, but there's a nuanced conversation there to have, right? Like, there's moral absolutism, not interested. And then there's moral ambiguity. And I don't play that one.
And Greg just commented in essence to where the other point was, when we're talking about truth, what truth are we talking about? If someone is claiming absolute truth regarding their idea of God, I always go back to the idea of Tina Turner, who started out Christian and then switched to Buddhism. Her truth changed over time. That's her right. That is her path. Anyone who is claiming to have the truth regarding how other people are supposed to live in relationship to God, etc., that's a very different conversation.
Very different.
Right? Like, very different. But when we're talking about absolute truths and speaking of, for example, God as principle, then it's like gravity. It's like mathematical principles. Those don't change based upon someone's understanding of them. It doesn't matter if someone went to college or didn't go to college. If they fall off a bridge, gravity is going to make them go down, not up. So there are certain absolute truths. Now, within New Thought, we say God is all there is. But we don't go knocking on doors saying, hello, my name is Ray, and I'd like to offer you a pamphlet that says, God is all there is, and I'd like to welcome you into the church of religious. Like, we don't do that because we acknowledge and respect all pathways to God.
Yeah.
However, there is a line that says, if this pathway to God is dishonoring, destroying, hurting and harming, such as Christian nationalism, then it is our responsibility and the values that we teach to speak about that. Because that is, yes, it's a relative truth to the Klansman, but it is in direct opposition to what we practice and teach.
Yes. And there's this beautiful Buddhist saying that I love that says the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon, right? Not the moon. And as someone, the reason like I resonate with New Thought is because I get to like play with all the paths because I know it's not the moon, right? Actually, the moon is right here. The moon is right there. The moon is over there. The moon is in multiple locations across this earth, right? So that's a whole different conversation. I feel like there's a graduated conversation, not to be an elitist. I feel like there's a graduated conversation about God. And then there is this sort of old conversation, right? When people really believe that like God was like out there somewhere in the sky, probably was a man, probably was a white man, probably was like Santa Claus. That's a whole different conversation than the conversation that is happening right now. It requires a lot of nuance. It requires a questioning of moral absolutism. And I always think if any religion comes to you or anything offering certainty, if you do A, B, C, D, when you die, you go here. If you do D, E, F, you go there. Any of that kind of stuff, I'm not even in that game no more, right? That's what we have to graduate from as a species, spiritually mature into who and what we really are, which are the individuated expressions of the divine right where we are.
And Greg is saying it's too tedious to type this much, so I think we'll take a break so he can let his fingers rest, and we'll come back and we'll get to the topic of what is going on. So don't go away. Come right back here to New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
The Heal Your Life Workshop Facilitator and Life Coach Certification Training, approved personally by Louise Hay, is coming to San Diego. Facilitated by expert trainers Christy Dixon and Anna Milkick. This 3.5-month training includes multiple sessions on Zoom and 9 days in beautiful San Diego. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform their lives.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here comes the girls. Way more than merely If you wanna know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello and welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted.
I'm Dr. Natashe Wilson.
And today we're joined by our fabulous guest, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
And he is now an honorable member of Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Because, honey, gender is fluid, okay?
Amen.
Anyway, so I'm here today with my sister in spirit, Natashe, Dr. Natashe, and we're stepping into part 2 of the conversation of what's unfolding in our world right now. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking my sister by another Mr., because both our dad's names are Gaye, and we can't really, I don't know. It might not have been another Mr. because both of our dads seem to be very popular with the ladies.
Yes, so, they were.
Who knows? Who knows? And then, of course, Ray.
Yes.
So anyway.
I just have to add to that, Robyn, right? So both our dads are named Ray. And then I have 2 brothers named Ray. And then my oldest brother, who's named Ray, all of his children, except for my nephew, who's now shuffled off this motor coil and is in the ancestral realm, and I miss him every day. He was the only one who didn't bear the name Ray, but all of my nieces, my brother's daughters, their names start with Ray. Ray Chanel, Ray Avion, Ray Andra. Like, it's a family full of Rays. So.
Wow. Okay.
So we started off with a bang. I think it leads us right into what's going on. What is going on in the world? And, just taking space to figure out, because it is hard, and challenging, just like some of the questions before. It's like, how is this the capital T truth? And what point of this and what does that mean, and how, all of those questions. So there we have I've got way too many things going on in my head right now. I've got like the lyrics to the song happening. I'm like, mother. I'm at a soundtrack. I've got questions. So where shall we begin?
Honestly, what if we pick up where we actually left off? Because I thought we were having a really beautiful conversation, but also I think we can choose to pick up with the lyrics of the song, because as soon as you started singing it, I was thinking there's far too many of us crying.
Yeah.
And then there's far too many of us dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got choices here. Either way we go, it's rich. Yeah.
It is rich. I mean, because I think, Marvin Gaye and all of it was such a soundtrack really asking the world to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're still asking the same questions, but with, our 2026 lens and metaphysical wisdom and ideas. And so, yeah, so I don't know where we left off.
When you say that, Robyn, so what came up for me, you said, so that was, Marvin was asking that like in the early 70s. And that song in particular was it the early 70s or late 70s? I can't remember. But he was asking that question around that time, right? And part of it was not just, wake up. It's like, look at the world we're creating, right? Look at the choices we're making. Like, I think about, sorry to keep going back to history, but I think about the opportunity that the United States had during Reconstruction, right? right? Like, if we had made the choice or had the will to practice justice and reparations as we started when Reconstruction happened, if those people who became fearful, those white people who had become fearful of seeing Black people actively engaged in governmental politics, creating banks, creating their own commerce, building their own schools, HSBCUs, all these things, right? If that had not been seen as a threat and activated fear, and people knew how to take care of their emotions, right? Man, what kind of world would we be living in right now? And then I go even further back and I think about, you know, the witch trials, right? Which came from that religious absolutism, right? And like, but if that Christianity or that culture that, you know, of these women who were these healers, if they hadn't been literally murdered, right, in the thousands, what kind of world would we be looking at right now? But every single time it's like fear has won. And so the question now is, have we suffered enough so that now we have the will to say never again? So that, to me, that question's always been like at our feet collectively. Do we have the will? That's what Marianne Williamson was saying on that call that when we was on with her, Robyn, right? When I was saying that the United States has never honored the social contract with Black folks. What if there was a will to do that? What's going on? Can we be with our fear? Can we become more than the fear?
Yeah, it's like oh shoot, the Sam Cooke song, "A Change Is Gonna Come," right? Like, life it's too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. Like, okay. What do you feel about living? Like, really, what do you feel? Are you willing to step into that space of, you know what? I know, for example, I stopped referring to homophobia generally or transphobia generally, depending on who I'm using that label for. And I swapped it out and I said, well, based upon what they're saying, it's homomisia or transmisia, because it's hatred. It's not fear.
That's right.
If they're afraid, I will refer to it as fear. People who are afraid of a bear run from it. They don't go searching it out to tear flags down and take its picnic basket and, you know, chase boo-boo out of it. That's not what they do.
Yes.
What they're expressing is actually hatred. So what is my thing to do as a Black gay man? It is for me to say, I will no longer drink the Kool-Aid that tells me I should hate myself because of their interpretation of the Bible. I'm going to live my life to its fullest, to the truth that I know is what it means to be me. And I'm no longer going to wait for my world to change. I'm going to start changing it from the inside out.
That's right.
Which means as I worked on my own addictions and health things and codependency, it changed all of the relationships I had with everyone.
Right.
So by me changing my world, the African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm.
That's right.
So when I adjusted what was in here and I became the change and my relationships changed and they continue to ripple out and change, that's how we change the world. Right? Like Daryl Davis being a Black jazz musician who made it his mission to have conversations with members of the Klan. That is not mine to do. It's his to do. And I'm glad and thank you for doing it, Daryl.
Yes.
But he sits down with members of the Klan and convinces them through conversation, we are both human. We are the same in essence. And these people who have all these misconceptions about their truths, they realize the truth. We're both human. For far too long, I have seen you as less than human or not even human at all. And now I see you differently. And through that, their clan mentality, their clan consciousness starts to crumble to the degree where they then relinquish their robes and their membership cards to the clan, and they become friends with this black man. He's bending the arc. He's being the change. He's healing the world, not by going out there and doing grand gestures, but by individual, one by one, one-on-one conversations. He's changing the world.
Yes.
When more of us do that, like how many women were in the suffragist movement? It wasn't the majority. How many, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, it was a minority of black folks in that era who were abolitionists. It wasn't the majority, it's the minority. Absolutely. Which is why Margaret Mead said, look here, and this Reverend Ray remix, look here, don't get it twisted and think you need all these people. It only takes a small group of like-minded, powerful, convicted individuals to change the world. And trust and believe, that's the only thing that ever truly has.
Amen. And let me just tell you something. As an anthropologist, you just quoted Margaret Mead, so my heart is fluttering, okay? Can I just say that for a minute? Can I just say that? And then also, as an anthropologist, you know, thinking about those conversations and the courage, corre, heart, right? The Latin means heart, the corre, the courage to stand in that capital T truth and to do that as one's, to hear that as one's calling and then to follow it is just on another level incredible. And, you know, when I think about what my work has been as a location of the divine on planet Earth, like I said, it's looked different in different decades of my life. And at one decade, when I was teaching anthropology, I remember teaching the anthropology of gender, the anthropology of race. I remember teaching Anthropology 101. And my doctoral dissertation, I mean, I literally wrote several chapters on one, race is a myth, you know, scientifically. Like it was literally created by a French scientist, we'll say pseudoscientist. His last name was Buffoon. Okay, so hold that for a second. But when we sit with the scientific truth of our evolution as Homo sapiens sapiens, right? We literally all come from East Africa. Every single one of us. Right? So I remember having this moment early in my academic career as an anthropologist being like, wow, you know, this like anti-Blackness or this Black hatred, it is really like, this is like Freudian on like another level. You know, it's just like, it's like you hate your mama, right? It is so, but you also kind of desire your mama. It's so weird, right? So it's like, we hate Black women, but we want their lips. It's like crazy. It's like, it's really this deep insanity in the human psyche. And we know that underneath hatred, so now in this career, right, where I study like psychological phenomena. And so one of the psychological phenomena of like racism, and I don't even like to say white supremacy because it really is a farce, because it's deep white insecurity is what I've learned working with white identified people who were brave and courageous enough to sit down and talk to me about what it is they learned they were actually white and what it meant to be white, which was really tragic and most of this telling because it was for them when they realized they were white, it was an act of separating them from the rest of the human species. And that had devastating emotional impact. And that embedded fear because many of them were threatened with abandonment by the people who are supposed to love them if they were to come with Black people in particular. Yeah. So they learned that being white meant that they had to cut themselves off from the majority of humanity. So I was thinking about that when you just spoke. And then I was like, yeah. And we know that underneath hatred, if we just dig, not even that far, we find fear and insecurity. Mm-hmm. And happy Pride Month. And happy Juneteenth. I know it was last week, but happy Juneteenth.
Yes.
Because part of my calling is fashion. So I wear it on my body. I wear it in my tattoos. The ancestors live, right? Like, yeah, we are all a location of the divine. And if we can all, even with deepest fear, like when you were speaking, Dr. Ray, about cleaning up your internal house, right? Really, honestly, I don't, like, I always say that. I'd be like, someone told me, like, they told me, like, they had a nemesis. And I remember this was several years ago. I was like, how do you reach 50 and have a nemesis? You know, I was just like, if people think they're my nemesis or enemy, I'm just unaware. Why? Because, like, I'm doing my internal cleanup constantly, not perfectly, but definitely committed to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's not about me,
right? Like even the thing with, you know, the Klan or whatever. I'm not their enemy. They're fighting against what they perceive blackness to me. It's not me. It's an idea that they have in their consciousness.
Dr. Ray, do you remember that James Baldwin interview? I don't know who he was interviewing with. It was some news media, and it was in black and white. So this was before color television. Mm-hmm. And he was sitting there with his cigarette being interviewed, right? This beautiful black man, beautiful gay black man. He's sitting there unbothered. And the interviewer asked him something about being called the N-word.
Oh, yes.
He's like, I don't feel anything about it.
Yes.
Because he said the N-word is who invented him. That's not about me.
Yep. Yep. Right?
Mic drop.
Boof, boof. Yes. 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 Yes.
Mic drop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. What's up, Robyn? I see you taking a breath. What's up? Come on now.
I know. Come on.
Well, no, I'm just going back to, you know, what's going on in the world, and not, you know, and thinking, you know, on some level, obviously, it all stems from fear. Mm-hmm. You know, that it's, you know, and I'm just thinking about that, and I'm thinking about, you know, I mean, for me, a lot of the hang up happens also when anybody thinks that they're owed or deserved, or that they're coming from that place, like, you know, sometimes, you know, having been born into this and, you know, masquerading as an undercover Black person, you know, I teeter on the edge of having my Black card taken away, because I have you know, other feelings about things that have gone on. And I feel like there's so much to be grappled, not only from my African American perspective of all of the things and how it goes on and how people see that. And, you know, because I've obviously had a different experience. I have the experience of, you know, people thinking I'm one thing, and then when they find out I'm another, they're like, oh, And then they have to like reevaluate and figure it out and want to ask me questions, and things like that, which is okay. I mean, it's not bad. I actually think it's good when people ask questions, even though sometimes my inner dialogue is like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Are we really still here? But I think it's good that they ask and that they get answered and things like that. And I have to say that sometimes standing in that perspective, and when I listen to, my African American people, I also want to go, okay, wait a minute though. There's another side that we need to listen to. We can't just be the victim of 400 years. We can't just be the victim of whatever, because then it becomes 500 years, And so where are we willing to meet and open a different discussion, maybe about where you started, Dr. Natashe, just saying, we're all from the same place. We've all come from the same place, and I mean, skin color, obviously in other cultures has the same, not the same, has the classism thing going on, I mean, there's all different things. So those are the things going on in my head.
Yeah. There are a couple of things that I think are embedded in what you've shared. And one of them is, so for me, I was raised in New Orleans, right? I was raised in a place where most people looked like some version of me, right? When I went to school, when I went to church, the Catholic Church, even the nuns, the priests, like they were Black. Even in my Catholic church probably sounded more like a Baptist church. Like we when we sang in my Catholic church. It's not like, I remember going to my first Catholic church that was not a Black Catholic church. And I was like, what is happening here? And can I please get a pillow? Right. So I grew up in a city that has several historically Black colleges and universities. I grew up in a place where enslaved people rebelled all the time, right? Like we still honor Congo Square because that's where most of the rebellions were like fomented, right? When we were braiding like state maps into like the patterns of like people's hair, right? Like, so I think there has to be this piece where it's acknowledged that many of us don't see ourselves as victims. And I like to be careful with that term because when I'm working with certain people who have absolutely been victimized, right? When I'm working with people who are recovering from trauma, especially like certain types of trauma, being able to, because victims become bloated, right? People can be victims. Absolutely. Just as people can be survivors. I think one of the things we are learning or have to learn is how to hold multiple things as true, right? The finger pointing to the moon, not the moon. And some of us don't speak through the language of victimhood because we're talking about unresolved trauma collectively, historically. I think in order to cultivate the will to create a different world, we have to start to be able to move out of moral absolutisms, right? And have moral conviction that is based in a world that works for everyone.
Yeah.
We sink or swim together. But what our work is in that is going to be different. Like I'm not the person to be having conversations with like white people. Like I'm not that one. That's not my work, right? Maybe that's a part of like Robyn, like your work. And by the way, you can never lose your Black card, okay? Because you ask questions, right? It's impossible. As a matter of fact, let me just grant the whole world right now an official Black card because you all come from Africa. So then I'll just like let you know that you can have an African card. And if you want to interpret that as Black, fine. Okay. Now nobody can lose it because in your genetics.
All right.
Now,
Okay. All right. All right. So we have not really talked about the topic. We are done. It is to go. I got it.
We didn't talk about the topic, right?
Well, we didn't specifically talk about things. Don't argue with me right now. And we had Rockin' the Love join us, which is my boo. And he says, Ray, the story of the feared is on display in anti-immigrant actions, anti-non-Christian actions, and anti-Black, Hispanic, Asians. It is all about a made-up story to control society.
Absolutely.
See, that's him, the man I love. Yep.
That's right.
That's right. So, so Ray, you have to come back because we've got so much more to talk about. But
yeah,
works for me.
Okay.
And I met somebody. I want to talk about it.
All right. So that gives everybody a reason to tune in next week.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
I mean, what more incentive could one need? So as we go out today, I want to thank you, Ray. Thank you for just jumping in and
my pleasure.
Showing up, and we just love you.
And come back. Like literally, you are now a Girls Behaving Metaphysical.
I know. We need to have like a monthly segment with Ray.
Yes.
Just let me know when we will put it on the calendar. Yes, amen. Hallelujah. Yeah.
Hallelujah. All right. So thank you, Michael Mangus, for putting up with us all, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And be good to yourselves out there. And
be well,
Michael.
Yeah. Nobody needs to give me a sign. I am an actor. I watch my time. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Peace.